Ask any gamer the one problem they have with mainstream video games, and after hearing a 20-minute rant on the 12-year-olds clogging the game chats of Call of Duty and Halo, they'll probably tell you that there are too many sequels and not enough new IPs to keep the market stimulated. That's a fair comment. Looking at the release schedule of this past year alone, pretty much every game worth mentioning was a sequel, prequel, or reboot of an existing, established franchise. Franchises like Need for Speed, Call of Duty, and Assassin's Creed now occupy the annual release schedule that before was reserved primarily for sports games. There's an obvious reason for this. Established franchises are almost always guaranteed to sell, and new IPs are a gamble, no matter who's behind the product.
Good people! I missed my introduction!
Oh, right. I'll make this quick. I'm him. I talk about these and review these. I'm finishing school here. I write for this publication that you can pick up in April, and that's pretty much it, really. Anyway, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning is one such gamble. It's a single-player fantasy RPG with a focus on God of War-style combat developed by 38 Studios, who were surprisingly founded by this guy of all people, along with the recently acquired Big Huge Games, who made this. The game is being published by EA under the EA Partners program, a curious choice we'll get to later. For a new IP, there's a lot of talent backing this project. The game's lore is written by R.A. Salvatore, a 22-time New York Times best-selling author who has written an insane amount of fantasy literature, including the Demon Wars saga and a series set in the Forgotten Realms Dungeons & Dragons setting. The game is also backed by the vision of designer Ken Ralston and the art from comic book artist Tom McFarlane. Ralston was a 12-year vet in the pen and paper RPG realm before becoming the lead designer of these two kind of a big deal RPGs. McFarlane, of course, is famous for working on this franchise, along with creating this guy. A game with all this talent, combined with the financial backing of one of the biggest publishers on the planet, should be a guaranteed smash, right? Well, no. See, there's this one hurdle that the game needs to get over before we can call it the first successful new IP of 2012. The launch. This is where I believe the folks behind the game have seriously dropped the ball. In my eyes, the game's developers and publishers have made at least 3 critical errors that could affect the game's success. Over the course of this generation of consoles, game demos have become a great tool for developers. A tool that can really show what a game is about and generate hype along with some extra sales. Mirror's Edge is a good example of this. A bad one, however, can leave fans and curious players with a bad taste in their mouth. See Battlefield 3's horrendous console beta. Sadly for Kingdoms of Amalur, their demo falls into the latter category. The demo is full of bugs, with audio cutouts, geometry issues, texture glitches, and flat-out game crashes. That's not a good way to promote your title. Now, in the developer's defense, they did come out and say that the demo was not developed in-house and was based on 3-month-old code that over time has been fixed and the original game will not have those glitches. They also pointed out Sony and Microsoft cut things like extra art and audio assets to lower the download size. That's all fine and dandy, but what about for people who don't read online video game blogs and would have no way of getting that information? How are you going to convince those people that your game is not a glitch-filled mess? You can't. And for those people, their only impression of the game is that it's buggy, which will mean loss of sales. Sometimes a release date can mean the difference between success and failure. Rockstar Games found their ideal release date in mid-May, having released their last 2 hits, Red Dead Redemption and LA Noire, during that period, along with the upcoming Max Payne 3, set to release May 18th. There is no doubt both Red Dead and LA Noire are well-made games and deserve those sales, but I don't think they'd be as successful in, say, November, when there are a glut of new games coming out. The actual date Kingdoms of Amalur decided to release isn't necessarily a bad one. It's the fact that it's releasing in such close proximity to other more distinguished games of the genre. A week before its release, Final Fantasy XIII-2 was launched, successfully tying up the money of those fans of RPGs from the other side of the ocean. Looking towards the future, EA is set to release another North American RPG, Mass Effect 3, the conclusion to the highly praised and extremely popular sci-fi series. Oh, and let's not forget that one RPG released back in November, that outsold Modern Warfare 3 on the PC, that sold 10 million units worldwide. The one that became the internet sensation almost overnight. Ah man, what's its name again? Bottom line, 3 of the biggest RPGs in the industry were released within a 4-month period of each other, and the brains behind Reckoning decided to release smack dab in the middle of them? You don't even need to understand the industry to realize that's a terrible idea. Collector's editions are pretty much the norm these days, and I'm not 100% sure that they're a good thing. On one hand, they provide fans with a way to further their experience with their favorite games, and to be rewarded for their loyalty to a franchise. On the other hand, they're just another way for publishers to dig their hands into your pockets and make you pay sometimes double the price of a game for some cheap toys and an art book. They've been around for a while, but Modern Warfare 2's atrociously expensive Prestige Edition was the one that started the trend of these being put in the $100+ range. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning follows this trend with not just one collector's edition, but 3. An $80 special edition, a $200 collector's edition, and a whopping $275 signature edition. $275! It's not even the price of these editions that really pisses me off, but it's the fact that this is a brand new IP. A game world that no one's experienced before, that features characters that we don't know about, and therefore we don't care about. It's presumptuous. And it reeks of a sad attempt of a game trying to exploit money out of us just because we're gamers. And they think that just because we're gamers, we're going to buy it just because it says special or collectors on it, even though we have no investment in this game other than word of mouth or what they've said. It's a brand new title. There is no way that they could possibly expect you to lay down $200 to enjoy a world that you don't even know that you're going to enjoy yet. You don't know if you're going to like these characters. You don't know if you're going to actually like this world. Okay, should calm down. Bottom line, though, it's these kind of decisions that make gamers not want to buy a game. Because it's insulting. And honestly, it makes me not want to buy it either. If what I say ends up being true, this could be a huge shame. As of recording, the game has an 80 on Metacritic, with most agreeing that it's a flawed but fun game, with fluid combat, a well-done main quest, an astonishing amount of side quests, and a large open world that, although is a bit segmented, does flesh out the world nicely. So by most accounts, it's a decent game that is trying to do something different in the RPG realm. It's a game that deserves sales, and a game that deserves to have a chance to make a sequel to improve on the base work that it's done so well on. I'll be honest here, guys. I'm hoping in the end I end up with egg in my face and this game really does sell well. But looking at all that's gone on over the past couple months, I'm not so sure. I'm That Tech Guy, and I'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.